What's up, everyone? It's 6:03, so that means it's time for the Clone Zone. I'm Alex,
I'm Molly.
and I couldn't find the intro video clip for a second, so I'm pretty sure you could probably hear me wrestling around, like panicking, because I thought I deleted it or something, but I found it. It's okay.
I heard no panic. I had the live stream on my other monitor, and it started running an ad immediately. And so I was like, where is this talking coming from in my headphones?
Yeah, I gotta mute that. Well, we are going to be talking about episodes 10 and 11 of The Bad Batch today. As usual, we have a guest. We've got a great guest this week. I'm very excited to talk to. She just came out with a brand new book, Star Wars Dad Jokes, and also was the creator of the Star Wars Conversation Cards, and has the Return of the Jedi visual archive coming out, and has a Star Wars encyclopedia coming out later this year. So
banger
please welcome,
after banger after banger.
Please welcome Kelly Knox to the show.
Hi,
Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
We were talking before we went live, and Kelly literally forgot some of the things she was working on. You have so much going on.
It's great. Such a nice problem to have.
Well,
For sure.
I'm really curious. So obviously we're going to talk about Bad Batch in a little bit, but I have to know about the Dad Jokes book. And I'm curious how it came to be, because you are the queen of dad jokes on Star Wars Twitter. And like every single day, a new joke. So how did the book come about?
So yeah, if anybody watching wasn't following me back in 2020 when lockdown started, I started tweeting a dad joke, Star Wars dad joke once a day. Just because everything was so terrible and we were all doom scrolling, and it was kind of a distraction for me too. So I made it a goal to tweet one dad joke a day. It was Star Wars themed, and I think I made it like a year and a half of doing it daily. And then I think it was like every few days, even though I kept saying like, oh, I won't do any more. And then I would post one more because I couldn't help it. People, very nice people, started saying this should be a book one day. And then, months went by and Lucasfilm said this should be a book one day. And so they got me in touch with the editor at Chronicle Books. And I had been keeping a spreadsheet because I'm a huge nerd and I didn't want to repeat a joke. And so I had like the spreadsheet of all these jokes. And so I kind of sent that as my pitch, and we went from there. But the book is it's almost all new stuff. There's only a few of the ones from the spreadsheet made it, because I'm still kind of embarrassed that I sent it. They were all like formatted for Twitter and not the best. But so that's how Dad Jokes got started.
That's so cool, because you read sometimes that they will recommend you do some light journaling either at night or in the morning, like when you first get up, and like it's almost like a form of meditation to just like every morning sit down and say, okay, I'm going to think of a really banger dad joke for Star Wars nerds.
Yeah. I'd actually, when my daughter was in elementary school, I'd handwritten a dad joke and put it in her lunchbox every day. So like I already had like a mental, I just grabbed those from Google or whatever, but I had like a database up here already. And so I kind of like, had the format down and was already familiar with like the classics and stuff. So like I think that's where it came from, instead of something a little more serious like like a journal.
Yeah.
What was the longest on one day that you sat down and you just had writer's block? Did that never happen?
I tried. This is how terribly nerdy I am. I tried to do it days in advance, so I would have them like planned out. I mean, you guys probably know how that kind of goes. Like your goal is to have your stuff planned in advance. It doesn't.
We are so alike.
Yeah.
Spreadsheets, planning advance. Yeah.
But I think once in a while I would just be like, I got nothing. And then if I'd get lucky, when was that episode of The Mandalorian where like the captain made out of seaweed came up, and I was like, comedy gold.
Yeah.
I would kind of luck out with those kinds of things when we get new episodes of whatever. So it kind of helped keep things going.
Molly, you had a fun joke or a fun question to ask.
Yeah, because I was wondering, I know you're a fan of a lot of other genres. Is there any other fandom that you think you could write a dad jokes book for?
That's an interesting question. Maybe Star Trek. But most of my knowledge there is Next Generation, because that's what I grew up with. maybe comic books, but I feel like that would be a little harder. So
Yeah.
maybe Star Trek.
I had a feeling Star Trek would be in there.
Yeah.
And then my other question was, who do you think within the Star Wars universe tells the best dad jokes? Like, who do you think has them ready to go?
Darth Vader. That's easy. Mostly because we've seen him do one and it was terrible. But I do also think that 3PO does like the best inadvertent jokes, and so maybe between those two. But I think Vader's got it, which is probably why they put him front and center on the book. But I think he would tell a few dad jokes.
I think Hondo would be pretty good at it if he practiced.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, Hondo, Dexter Jetster might have some good ones.
Dex, I feel like would be very receptive to a dad joke.
Yeah.
I feel like he would love hearing them.
Yeah.
Who would you most want to tell a dad joke to in the Star Wars universe?
Oh gosh. Kind of want to see Luke Skywalker make that face that the illustrator has him making it on the cover. I think he would, which is great. I hope you guys.
Well,
I love
like
Leia.
Pretty receptive. But
Leia's doing the face palm.
palming.
Chewie seems to be having a great time though. He loves
Chewie,
it.
you know, he likes to laugh, so he would probably be the best because we've heard his laugh in Empire. I think I would do anything to make him laugh like that again. So
yeah, that's true.
What was it on purpose to release it right around April Fool's Day?
They didn't tell me, but I really like that they picked that. I feel like they probably wanted to do it before Mother's and Father's Day, so I liked that they picked the second. It probably would have been bad if they picked the first because people would have been like, "Is this an actual Star Wars?
Is this
book?"
real?"
Yeah. So I think it worked out pretty well.
I thought it felt very appropriate. But the book just came out. If you're a fan of dad jokes, you can grab it. And coming out soon is the visual archive for Return of the Jedi. What can you tell us about that?
So that is coming from Inside Editions on April 23rd, and I co-wrote that with the team. That includes Clayton Sandell and St. Bende. And we each got our own sections. It's covering Return of the Jedi, not just behind the scenes stuff. It has so much good stuff like concept art and, you know, quotes from interviews from over the years. But it's also expanding out into connections. So, you know, it'll say the Night Sisters we first saw in the Ewok movie, and then it'll draw the connection to, you know, Ahsoka or Clone Wars or anything like that. So it kind of traces the elements that we first saw in Return of the Jedi through the rest of the universe, which was really fun to explore. And so it's not just amazing pictures of Return of the Jedi. It's pretty much everything Star Wars is in there. And I do have a copy of it just to show off because it's huge. It's like textbook size. It's really pretty. It's lots of nice pictures. It's got fold outs.
Ooh, so I love the Star Wars books that have fold outs.
I love those too. So yeah, that'll be out at the end of this month. And it's huge. It was a big project, but I think it turned out really well.
That's awesome. Exciting. Well, as we shift into the Bad Batch, I thought one more thing that we could plug for you, because we've really been enjoying the Star Wars conversation cards.
Yay.
We've been throwing them at the end of the Q&A that we do every week when we have time. But I dug one out that is appropriate for the Bad Batch. Number 27 says, each member of the Bad Batch has qualities that gives the team an edge in the field. What's something different or unique about you, your friends, or siblings that gives you an unexpected advantage?
Well, I can't say spreadsheets because we've all established that we all do that. I like to think, at least in my family, I'm the most patient. I don't know if that can help in the battlefield or not, but it's something I try to work on. Unless there's crafting involved, that's my only other skill. Or a dad joke, maybe.
Crafty's good.
Yeah, I could probably do something with that in the field. So.
Like a MacGyver clone?
Yeah, that'd be awesome, actually.
Molly, what do you think?
I feel like we covered this before, and I can't remember what my answer was. But maybe something about, like, corralling people together to go from one place to another, because I'm pretty good at that when we go to conventions.
Yeah.
Like, pay attention, everybody. I'm like the mama duck with the ducklings following.
That is true. I remember what I said, and I'll stick with it because I have a real defect. I have no sense of smell. So I can go into all the smelliest planets, all the garbage planets like Lotho Minor or Braca, and I'll be fine. I'll lead the way.
You can go to every garbage chute.
Yeah, no problem. I'll dive right in. Well, let's get into these 2 episodes of The Bad Batch because they were huge and gut-wrenching. So we're talking about Identity Crisis and Point of No Return. So Kelly, I'll throw it to you first. What did you think of these episodes?
They were beautiful. I really feel like animation just keeps getting better and better. And I know I wasn't supposed to spend time staring at like the shots of like Tantus and the city, but they were just so pretty that I kind of had to like pause it and look for a second. But I was selfishly really happy in Identity Crisis, I think it was, where Straw Lula showed up again.
Yeah.
Because I have mine here because I made her, and so I was like, "Hey, she's back!" So that was my favorite part of that first episode.
I
loved
love that moment because it says so much about Emery that she's breaking her own rules, that she told Omega, like, no personal items, but she kept it.
She kept it almost as if it were like her own personal item now. Like it was like this representing this memory that she had of Omega being there. But the fact that she was giving it to the other little girl, I was like,
I did not expect to see it again. Yeah, it was so cute.
It made me think at the very end of that episode that she just is remembering or maybe seeing for the first time what it's like to help someone else. And just, hey, I made that little girl feel good. And maybe she's never had to worry about that before. She's never had to deal with these children. But now she's like, oh, I put a smile on her face when she was sad. And I definitely think Emery is headed for a redemption arc of turning around and actually helping.
Yeah, we've heard about them, taking Force-sensitive kids and stuff for so long, but to actually see it this time was just so much harder to watch than I ever would have thought.
Oh, it's like it's happened, in every animated show except for Resistance, I think. But the Clone Wars, Palpatine's trying to steal kids. Star Wars Rebels, the Inquisitors are trying to steal kids. And it's thwarted every time in those shows. But yeah, now we actually have to see that it doesn't always work out that way, and it sucks.
And to hear the stuff that Hemlock was saying about why choosing younger kids is better for this kind of experiments, I was like, ugh, that guy sucks so bad.
He does. His voice is so creepy. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's one of those like quiet talkers. That's just a creep.
I worked on a movie with Jimmy Simpson back in like 2007. I was a
I'm
PA
sure Jimmy's
on a movie.
Great.
Oh yeah, he's super nice, and I cannot connect the two because he was so nice, and knowing he's the voice of Hemlock, which I never would have guessed if I hadn't seen the credits, but I really do love him as a villain. I look forward to his hopefully horrible demise, but I really like watching him.
You can just hear it in his voice whenever he's talking. Like, I just imagine him in the sound studio, just like conniving and like rubbing his gloved hand. Like, ugh.
Do you think he wears the glove in the sound booth?
Maybe. Yeah, they're just getting character.
I like that Tarkin didn't even intimidate him in that one scene. He was yeah, whatever, bring it.
Tarkin was such a cool cameo for that because it just made you think about how, like, in Rogue One, Tarkin kind of tries to swoop in and take credit for what Krennic's doing. And even if Tarkin doesn't know anything about this project, he's just waiting on the sidelines to swoop in and somehow find a way to take credit.
I loved that scene, and seeing Tarkin in that position where he doesn't know what's going on was kind of strange, and him just being like, well, this better yield results or else. It's like, well, what?
He's
you
like,
don't even know what that would look like, man. Also, thanks to our friend Maddie Gunner, who sent in a super chat, says he wasn't Tarkin enough.
Can enough. Oh, that's good.
But I want to jump back to what you said first about just how great the animation is. I feel like that's something that we don't mention every single week, just because we take it for granted how great the animation is, how great the music is. But in that second episode, all the shots of the Empire arriving on Pabu were so good and so chilling, that just that Star Destroyer looming over the mountain. That was great.
I think I cursed out loud when I saw it.
I did too. And I try not to cuss on our reactions, but I was like, I'm letting this one slip because this is awful.
You just had that build up. Just couldn't keep it in.
Yeah. And the music was incredible, especially in Identity Crisis. Like every time we go into that vault room with the kids, it's like this eerie, almost like a lullaby, childlike song playing. It's very unsettling.
Very like nursery music or super creepy.
But fitting for this, I guess.
Oh, Molly, what was your favorite part of the episode?
My favorite part. Which one?
Well, either. I guess we could talk about 10 a little more first.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead and I'll show my drawing just to get it out of the way, because seeing a new bebe in Star Wars is always very exciting for me. So I tried to draw it holding its other little bebe, and then this is like I did a 2 for drawing.
That was smart.
So this one's from the next episode. I just wanted to draw Tech's goggles and the Tuca doll being kind of like laid to rest on Pabu. I thought that was a really sweet moment, just signaling, Omega is like really grown up now, and she is letting go the idea that Tech is gone, and she's kind of just ready to move on, but she wants to put these in a special place. But those are just my favorite moments. The idea to give this little guy an even littler guy.
Little guy. I kind of want to make him.
Please do, because everyone needs a little guy.
I know, he's so squishy looking, right?
All right, well, if we're all sharing
the eyes, oh my god.
Everyone loved the baby.
The baby.
All right, wait. Everybody has to hold it up so we can get
that's a good idea.
A screenshot of all of these. So, okay, Lucasfilm, we need funding to make the baby.
Don't you let anything happen to him.
I know. Yeah,
I think his name was Bairn in the credits.
Bairn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very Star Wars name.
Yeah, Alex can vouch for this. Anytime a baby version of a Star Wars species shows up, the episode of, was it Rebels?
Yeah, the little Ithorian.
That has the baby Ithorian. I just started crying for no reason. I was like, it's so cute.
Well, I loved that species from Solo. I remember they showed just an image of that, and I was like, who is that little gentleman? And so now, they made a baby version of that, and then gave the baby its own baby. Like, stop it. This nesting doll of cuteness is too much.
I did think about drawing them as Russian nesting dolls, like, because they're parents and then the little one.
I really hope, like, the last scene of this series is the Bad Batch and Omega and Bairn, and they just kick the door of that Aqualicious home in. And, like, that's the end. It's just him screaming. Like, that turd needs to get what's coming to him.
Yeah. And this episode reminds us how much of a turd Cad Bane is, too. Because, like, he says he's good at his job, and we find him doing this with a lot of kids. And it's like, come on, man. This
is like the 4th child we've seen you kidnap, which I have to imagine there's been more.
He was a good pick for this episode. I thought that was pretty smart to put him in there.
I'm struggling to find more like favorite parts of episode 10 just because it was so upsetting constantly. But
just getting getting to see a little bit more of Emery was nice, because now I feel like they've set her up to do something really big, and I was hoping that she would get that moment.
Kelly, do you have any thoughts or theories on Emery's backstory and why she's at Tantus, why she's with Hemlock?
I don't, because it doesn't seem like she knows Nalase all that well. They don't really hint at a history together, so I'm pretty curious where she came from. I really liked that the episode was all everybody but the batch. I thought that was a really interesting way to keep the focus just on her and hopefully see her go through her redemption arc. Yeah, no, I don't have any theories, but I really like her character, and I hope we get to hear a little more about her.
Mm.
I
Another
thought that
part
was...
of
Go ahead, Molly.
I was just gonna say another part of this episode that we could talk about is Hemlock just giving us the whole spiel about Omega's blood, and I felt like that happened really quickly, and we were like, "Wait, what? What? Did he just explain everything to us?" And I was like, "Slow down." But that was nice to get kind of a straight answer on that.
It was basically what we had been guessing, that, like Molly, you kept calling it the universal donor kind of thing, that for whatever reason her blood is able to keep it from degrading when they clone a subject.
Mm-hmm. She has the O negative blood of Star Wars.
M negative, M positive, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I for Emery, there was one line she had with Nalase where she asked Nalase about the kids and were you planning to discard them too? So I'm wondering if she was originally going to
maybe
be
they
discarded.
did history, yeah.
Like if Emery were accidentally created, like she basically was kind of like the Bad Batch of just, oh, well, we made a woman clone, and we've seen in the Clone Wars that they were willing to discard entire batches that weren't living up to their combat potential. So I figured maybe they were going to discard her, and Hemlock was like, I'll take her, like, and make her my assistant or whatever.
Mm.
But I wonder if she can see herself in all those kids, and that's kind of unlocking memories for her.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's just kind of having her relive that trauma. And she has this very like Stockholm syndrome attitude where she's just kind of like looking down, just do the job, no personal items, don't get attached. But all that is kind of starting to slip away because now she has a personal item. She's like kind of helping the kids out. She's like talking to them more than the other scientists would. So she's gonna help in the big escape.
Yeah. We've seen ever since she was introduced, I think back in the Outpost in season 2, or no, after that, whenever they had Crosshair and they were torturing him and it kept cutting to her and she looked real upset. So since then, I've been hoping that she would have a turnaround. But I thought the same thing about Sid last season, and then we revisited her in this episode a little bit, and she's continuing to be awful.
I wanted to feel bad for her, and that didn't happen.
Yeah. Just as soon as they drop that line of the Trandoshan and it clicks like who that is, you're like, oh man, where is she and what's she up to? She's just being a jerk.
At first, I was thinking that she would have some sort of redemption moment just because, like, that's so huge in Star Wars. But in season 2, Molly, you were talking about how she might just be a lesson that, not everyone will get that. And now I'm leaning towards your way of thinking now. I don't think they're going to come back to her.
Honestly, I think I prefer that because, yeah, back then I was like, I think it's good for Omega to see people who don't change, like who may be kind of a lost cause, and then she can learn to recognize that and move on.
Well, I think she can recognize it, but I like that she witnessed that through Sid, but still is unwilling to give up on Crosshair, or like she's willing to give Asajj a chance. She's still
Mhm.
willing to give people a chance to be better, but Sid just failed her.
Yeah.
How did-
Crosshair's family, though.
Yeah. Do we think we're going to see Sid again? Is this mentioned something that they're building to, or is it just confirmation that she's still terrible?
I don't think we're gonna see her again, but I don't know.
I got the impression she didn't super willingly give the information, but I don't know if we'd ever see her come back and show like remorse or anything like that.
That's true. And like her in that episode in season 2 with Malegi, the big DeWooten guy, like I wonder if he's going to come back, just because I think they cast Keith David in the role. They cast a fairly well-known actor. So I was like, oh, maybe he's going to be a larger part of this show, but we're running out of time to revisit all these characters, so maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll have time to have her come back in an episode and redeem herself. There's a lot going on. I feel like
Yeah.
if she shows up now, we're gonna be like, not now, Sid. You
Yes.
lost your chance.
Yeah.
I guess there's a chance after episode 11 where they don't have a ship and they might need to run around and find information from somebody.
Yeah.
So maybe they kind of like with Roland Durand when they were looking for Omega in episode 2. Maybe they're going to have to scramble around and try to get help from other people again.
Maybe she can redeem herself by helping all the escaped clones get jobs. They might be seedy jobs, but she could become a better person and just like help out a little bit after the fact.
I don't think anyone's going to want to work with her after that.
Maybe not.
I'll bring up a couple images before we move on to more solidly talk about episode 11, but I wanted to bring up Hemlock's data pad just because I think this is interesting.
Data.
Any theories on what he's cooking up?
I mean, the eyes of that helmet look like Dark Trooper eyes.
Is this the secret clone that's chasing everybody? Is that him?
It looks like maybe an advanced version of the CX clone. It's like when we first see Hemlock, he's in that one cylinder room. I think he's working on something special in there.
I think this is probably supposed to be the clone that's chasing them right now. And then the second image he pulls up looks a little different.
Oh.
So, yeah, I wonder if they're... back in season 2 when we first met these things, I thought that it might be related to the Dark Troopers from The Mandalorian. And this is definitely making me think that more. It is kind of like some Legends stuff where they had clones be the Phase Zero Dark Trooper before they became battle droids. So they might be doing something kind of like that, which I think would be fun.
Yeah.
No
Looks like
Orbesh on there. They're onto us. No hints that way.
They know Alex is on the job every week. It looks like he's got a new weapon too, like some kind of pronged. It looks like a staff, but you said it might be.
It could be a staff. I mean, it is really long on the right side there, but it reminds me of Din's disintegrator, his disruptor rifle. So they might have some sort of disintegrating weapon, which would be bad.
Yeah, no, we don't need those. There's no time.
Well, we can move into episode 11 and talk about that a little bit more. I'll say I was really glad to see the other young clones and Lyanna. I I've been hoping every time we go back to Pabu, I'm like, how are the other clones doing? I want to check in with them, and seeing that they're still around, they've got like little vacation wear, they're getting snow cones.
I love it.
That was really nice.
Yeah.
Every time we get to see like a new outfit change for people who are hanging out on Pabu, it's like you're in a Margaritaville. Like it's a lot of bright colors. It's like island life. Everyone's got flip-flops on. They're just puka shell necklaces. It's great.
Yeah. It's a strong contender for the what planet do you want to live on in Star Wars? Like it's going up there. Naboo might have some competition.
Mm-hmm.
Naboo doesn't have any natural disasters as far as we know. That
It's
when
like the only
Pabu
safe place.
when Pabu was introduced, Molly and I were like, immediately, that's the new Star Wars vacation spot. And then a tsunami happens. And everyone was fine, though. They seemed to have their stuff together.
Yeah. They were like, this doesn't happen often, right?
It was still a pretty tough situation. And everyone made it out alive. But it's something to think about. Naboo doesn't have tsunamis.
Mm-hmm. The ice cone moment was really cute. Wrecker was like, give me an ice cone.
Oh, yeah.
I also liked the little moment with Batcher that just some random person that lives on Pabu is like, here you go, Batcher, and gives her a treat. Like, everyone knows who
girl.
Batcher is.
Yeah.
It was... So I was hoping that we would see a little bit of this earlier on, but it works better here because it builds up so much sense of community for the Empire to then come in and destroy, which that just made it even harder to watch.
Yeah. If I had had more time, I wanted to draw the alternate ending of this episode, which is just everyone enjoying their ice cones, laughing and having a good time.
Like
nothing bad happening.
CX2 and the Clone Commandos as well.
Yeah,
everyone lands and they're like, oh, what if we were just chill?
He gets there and he's like, this place has the best food I've ever had. Maybe I'll just live here. He
took one look at the sushi and was like, never mind. Just like cuts off all communication with the Empire.
Yeah. Alternate ending.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Since we're talking about CX2 and a lot of people are bringing up again, it's been happening over and over, but do we have any theories on who that is, if anyone? Kelly, are you on the Lord Hosk? Wonders if it could be Tech.
I mean,
Thank
that
you,
seems
Lord
so
Hosk.
obvious, right? Like it seems like the obvious hope, maybe, that we all have. We don't want him to be gone. He can be a bad guy. No, I feel like maybe it's too. Well, maybe it's not too obvious. I'm gonna hope. I'm gonna keep hoping it's Tech.
I've been on such a roller coaster because after last season, I was like, he's still around. He's fine. He might be being like horribly experimented on, but he'll come back and they'll figure out a way to like get him back. And then season 3 started and I was like, maybe not. They seem like they're all kind of going through their stages of grief and they're towards the other end and towards more being accepting of it. So at this point, I don't know if I can, my heart can handle that being Tech, but there's been some really good arguments for the case.
I think the one that came up today was the use of the word domicile.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who would say that but Tech?
That and like the little moment where he was sneaking on Fee's ship and like she kind of senses something. People were like, oh, she senses Tech maybe.
That I think is reading into it too much.
Oh, for sure. It's all reading into it too much.
Well, and he said that he broke the encryption on her files. That was another big hint.
Yeah. So, yeah. Being good
That's
at that
true.
stuff.
There are definitely arguments for it. I think there's a possibility. I'm still in deep denial that they could do something so horrible to him. But I more want to not think about it too much so that if it happens, then I'll be completely flabbergasted and caught off guard. But
yeah.
but it is fun to think about.
I think if they were going to give us a season 4 of this show, I would be all in on maybe this is Tech, because then we'd have time to bring him back, to save him from whatever has been done to him.
I get, yeah, that's a good point, and my fear as well, that if they find out it's Tech, it's like, okay, well then what? Do you have to actually kill him? I hope not. Or can they very quickly rehabilitate him? I get, maybe if they just put a new inhibitor chip in him, they could take it back out.
I mean, Omega might be able to get through to him somehow, but yeah, that's gonna be like such an emotional roller coaster if that is the case.
I'm gonna stick with just CX2 is just another regular clone, like the other two that we've seen.
Yeah,
because I don't want the heartbreak.
Right. No. And the moment where she puts Tech's goggles in the little museum was really sweet. And they do keep like bringing him up in subtle ways, and I appreciate that, because it's kind of like reminding us everything that he gave everyone and what a great person he was and what he meant to everyone. But Alex, you mentioned that they keep bringing him up or showing the goggles, maybe reminding the audience about him for a specific reason. So I don't know at this point.
Just be like, don't forget about Tech. Not that we ever would.
No, right.
I did, Molly, since you drew that moment, I thought that was fantastic. Putting Tech's goggles there as a treasure, but also Lula. It really made me think all the way back to the first episode, when Wrecker gives it to her, and it's a good just checkpoint, I guess, for the audience to be like, man, she has really grown up, and she's, even though I love Lula, she doesn't need it anymore, and she's putting it aside. And then I think that helped get me into the headspace of thinking about season 1, because when she makes that decision later on to go to turn herself over to the Empire, I was like, man, in the last Cad Bane episode, she told Hunter, like, her biggest fear is going back to some place like that and becoming an experiment in a tube. And now she's willing to do that to save everyone on Pabu. And I was like, that's huge. So I really loved that moment.
Yeah. I was really glad that she put Lula on that shelf, because that meant she wasn't in the ship when I was like, oh, okay, those two things are fine. That's good.
Star Wars has a nasty habit of making us love these ships that are super cool and then destroying them. I was like, it didn't even register with me when I first watched the episode. I was like, oh, the ship's probably fine. It might have gotten a wing or something messed up, but then they cut to a wide shot and it's just engulfed in flames. And I was like, oh my God.
That's like in Thor Ragnarok when Korg is saying, oh, that's just like a little bit of damage, but the foundations are strong, and then all of Asgard explodes.
I really liked in the scene too that Wrecker grabs the droid. Like, that's the first thing that he does, and then he dives with him. I was like, oh, Wrecker, bless you.
He's been like chatting with Gonki the whole episode, and so of course he's like, no, Gonki.
He can't abandon his workout buddy. No, he's been bench pressing and shoulder pressing Gonki this whole time. But yeah, I love that he just grabbed him and dove into the ocean. I was going to bring up this from Callum Reed. Thank you, because he said the same thing you did, Kelly. I wonder if Lula and the goggles were left on Pabu, so the audience knew that they weren't on the Marauder, because them being destroyed would be extra sad.
It would.
That is smart.
Smart, yeah. Big brain.
But that happened so quickly in just this whole episode. We see Omega and the rest of the Bad Batch lose both of their potential homes. They got nothing else. Luckily, once Omega went with the CX droid or CX clone, the Empire, I assume they left, but now they know about the place, which sucks.
They're still there at the end of the episode. But I don't know. It just all we saw was the CX commando leave.
Hopefully the rest of them leave.
But yeah, I would not consider Pabu safe anymore. It's so, how they set this episode up over the course of the series was great. Just we're so used to seeing the Bad Batch come up with crazy plans and then crush it, and wow, they pulled it off. And then everything that happened in this episode just was a failure after failure, and it was so hard to see.
Oh yeah,
no more 100% success rate there.
One of our friends literally just texted us and about when Crosshair misses the ship with the tracker. Just how sad that was. Alex, you were so sure. That when it mattered, he would make that shot. But
in our reaction, I'm talking and I'm like, okay, this is it. Like Crosshair's going to pull it together and he's going to make the shot and they're going to be able to find Tantus. And then the words left my mouth and it just goes, boop. No, I just went, I couldn't fathom that.
No, and then they cut to Omega sitting there, and I was like, she probably thinks that he hit it. Like, I was getting upset just seeing her on the, like, she's probably confident it's going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, if he had been able to make the shot the first time when he gets a moment to, like, set up, I think he could have made it. They didn't cut to his hand shaking or anything, but then he was getting shot at by the troopers and stuff. So, like, maybe it was just too long of a shot.
He was making the shot while running and the ship was taking off.
Moving,
But then it just like cuts to him and he's got a helmet on, but I still felt like I could just see his face like, oh no.
Part of me wonders if Omega is sitting there and maybe she knows he didn't get it because she's like, he hasn't fully rehabilitated his hand yet, and there's a good chance he didn't get that tracker on the ship, and that's okay because I know what I'm going to do and I have a plan.
I love that they found a way to make just a quick little meditation badass. Like,
oh yeah, it's like Qui-Gon taking a knee and just taking a deep breath. It's such a great moment. I love that last shot of her in the ship. She's just kind of like, she doesn't look worried. She looks kind of calm and serene. She's like, all right, I'll figure this out.
I really enjoyed that. It was like a big switch from, like you were saying, how much they've changed from the first season, that Crosshair was the one arguing for her to stay and they would try and find a plan. And she was like, no, this is just something I have to do. Like, Crosshair was the one getting emotional about it and she was the voice of reason. And I was like, look how far they've both come since we started this.
Yeah. He's like, there's too many variables.
Yeah.
This is one of those shows, like, Molly and I watch Parks and Recreation almost every year, and the last scenes of the last season do a really good job at making you think about how far everyone's come. And when you finish it and you're like, well, now I just want to start it over again. This is making me want to watch season 1 and just go binge through all of it.
Yeah. Just seeing how Omega's grown up and changed and how she's helped all of the rest of the batch grow up and change. And it's nice.
It's so cool that this season I thought was going to be, oh no, she's captured. And my initial guess was that she and Crosshair would try to escape and only he would get away. And then the rest of the season would be trying to save Omega. And the fact that she gets out with help, but she basically leads the charge, gets away, and surprises everyone. Like, that's such a fun arc of her being like, no, it's not about her needing to be rescued. She's grown up. She can do it. It's so cool. Mm-hmm. And now she's going back in and she'll probably have to save all these kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that'll be good for her because they'll be able to look up to her and maybe they'll trust her because she's kind of closer to their age, and hopefully that all works out well.
That's actually going to be great to see. Like, who is this amazing child? This leader of leaders who's coming in to save us.
Save the baby.
Yeah. I was thinking about the last couple of last episodes and Ventress. I don't think we're gonna see Ventress again, but I'm like, do you think anyone else is gonna show up to help, specifically like the people of Pabu, if the Empire stays there? Because like I feel like I'm not sure if we're gonna get a bunch of people storming Mount Tantus, and I wonder if there's gonna be some big event that happens on Pabu. I wonder if you guys think any other characters would show up again to help.
I feel like they're probably going to stay focused on the Bad Batch, but I do always enjoy a cameo, so you never know.
I feel like it makes sense that like Echo's got to come back.
And probably Rex.
Yeah, that I feel like Echo, Rex, Hauser. Don't know what happened to Wolf. I wouldn't be surprised if Wolf is on Tantus needing rescue. Gregor is out there, so I'm hoping for like a clone-centric story to wrap up. The Bad Batch seems like the intro to the rise of the Empire, but also the conclusion of the story of clone troopers as a whole. So I do hope that Rex and some of those fan favorites get to make their way to Tantus too.
Yeah, a lot of people keep talking about if we're going to see Cody again.
Yeah, Cody. Like he doesn't seem like he's part of Rex's network, but he could just show up. I'm fine with that.
Tech, who is definitely not the secret clone, will show up.
Yeah. He's like, just kidding. I've been alive the whole time. Thanks for keeping my secret.
And I hope Echo gets more to do. He's been gone a lot of this season, and I know he's doing important stuff, but I just want to see him have like a cool big moment in the coming episodes.
That's Ginger Jedi reminded me that the final episode is called "The Cavalry Arrives."
That's true.
So
where
like
did they arrive?
I mean, that just feels like Bad Batch puts a crew together and goes to Tantus.
Oh, having Wrecker be knocked out, like out for the count, really made me sad.
Yeah.
And like Batcher licking his face, I was like, no.
They just gotta take him out. He's too strong, literally.
That's true. Yeah.
I wish
that Hunter had his little like something's wrong moment. I was like, oh yeah, he's still Hunter. That was nice to see again.
Yeah.
He noticed something, and I noticed it too. Although I had the fortune of actually watching it happen. But Dave McHugh, thank you for this question in Super Chat. So I guess basically anyone can fly to Pabu and park in that cave undetected. Is that a feature or a bug? I said the same thing. I was like, Asajj Ventress snuck in there.
Yeah.
Someone put a motion sensor down there or something. Like, just keep eyes on the cave if it's that easy to get in and out.
Well, I mean, the rest of the people of Pabu and the rest of the batch, like I don't think that they think anyone else knows how to get there or knows about this place until now.
That's what I'm saying. Asajj did it, so that's enough to warrant like one security system. Just something. Like put some cans and string down there. Anything.
There could have been Amaranth says there could have been several secret caves down there. Lots of good nooks and crannies down there by the water to for Ken for your Pabu parking fun. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, how much does it cost to park on Pabu?
It's free if you know where to park. In the cave. There's a few places like that around Atlanta where it's like you got to find the secret cave to park.
Yeah, that is true.
Parking.
Rick Villanueva, thank you for the super chat. Where's Omega's new blaster? Is it safe?
Oh yeah.
That might have been on the Marauder.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We haven't seen that thing in a while, but it was super cool, and she used it in one episode.
She barely got to use it.
Maybe it survived, and they'll bring it to Tantus on their way out.
Yeah. She's got a whole future of learning to use fun new toys like that.
All right, here's a question for Kelly. Do you think we're gonna see the Zillow Beast again? Because I'm over here terrified that we're not, and then we're gonna wind up just the same way
right back where we were.
Yeah.
the Clone Wars, where everyone's like, "What happened to the Zillow Beast?"
I don't think so. I mean, that's a lot to fit into the end of the season. Maybe that's the cavalry, though. We don't know.
Did they bring it back to Tantus successfully?
The end of the episode where we saw it, they do bring it to Tantus. Like we see that vessel take it there.
It's there somewhere. I mean, it's a big mountain.
And then there was that in episode 3, Palpatine is visiting, and Hemlock says something about how they have bigger areas for the larger specimens. And I'm like, come on. Come on.
Omega's going to find a saddle and just saddle up. It's going to be the end of Book of Boba Fett again.
That actually would be rad. If she's like, oh, my brother Boba Fett rode a Rancor. Well,
I'm on a Zillow Beast.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
That would be really funny. That would be good. What do we think about Omega? Like, as far as this series of Bad Batch ending, Kelly, do you have any ideas of if there will be any more spin-offs, or if we'll see her pop up in any other content in the future?
You know, I've been thinking about all of them in terms of like when Cad Bane showed up all of a sudden, I was like, well, okay, he's definitely active during the Empire. Like what's he doing between this point and all the way till we see him in Mandalorian and all that, or Book of Boba Fett?
Kidnapping children.
I know.
That's all he does.
But it's interesting to think about what they might be all doing in that time period. I don't know, like for Omega in particular, if she can find her own place in the galaxy, I'm curious what that would look like. I mean, I don't think she would ever leave her brothers, so where are they all at? On a beach somewhere, hopefully. But
yeah, I do want to. I want to see them all have a nice long siesta, a nice long vacation after this. Like, go figure out where. What's the farmer clone?
Oh, Cut LaQuaine.
Cut LaQuaine, yeah. Go stay with him for a bit. And
seriously, all the clones need to take notes from that dude.
I know.
He deserted, lived the whole Clone Wars in peace, and then he's just like, oh, the Empire's here, I'll go somewhere else. And presumably he and his family are fine.
What do you think about Omega's force sensitivity? Do you want her to be force sensitive to the point where she eventually is trained by maybe Ventress, or where do you stand on her force abilities, if there are any?
I did not get the impression that she had any. I just got the impression that her blood was just part of the process somehow. But like you guys said, they just blew through that so quick that it was kind of hard to understand what they were saying. But I feel like they would have said plainly that she had a high M count, and they haven't come out and said that. So leaning to not being force sensitive, because I think Asajj was like, well, I'm good. You're fine. Good luck.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They haven't used that little, like, I wonder if they're going to use the little tester on her that seems so simple. They used it on the baby and it was like, yep, green light.
That's true.
Oh, they gave me the heebies every time they would poke them in the hand. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, poor kids.
Yeah.
That
I
is
was like,
interesting that
doesn't that hurt?
they brought in like a brand new device to read M count for us. Like, that's curious.
Mhm.
Yeah, the interrogation droid vibes floating in there.
as far as Omega being force sensitive, I still think there's room for it after what Asajj said. But in my review, I said I don't really care at all because everything she did about I'm going to confront my fears, go back to Tantus and save all these people. And then after doing that, just sat down and breathed. I was like, that's the most Jedi thing, whether or not you got the force.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, that's all I care about. Next week, I'll go back to speculating.
Yeah, she would be a great Jedi because just the way she lives her life, she just like has a lot of like very Jedi ways about her. But I don't know if I want her to be force sensitive or not. I could see like a cool spin-off with her and Ventress if we are in fact getting more Ventress stuff. Seeing the two of them explore the galaxy together, though, would be hilarious.
That would be good. What a pair.
Yeah. Hopefully Quinlan is in the bunch too, if that were to happen, because I hope he's still around.
I'm still down for a possible Hidden Path series. I think that there's something there where you could have Asajj, Omega, all these new kids. They're like trying to get them to safety. It ties in with Obi-Wan and Star Wars Jedi. The Cad Bane could be running around constantly trying to kidnap children.
Yeah.
That's what he's good at. In there, yeah.
He's like, I'm so good at my job. And it's like, you're kidnapping babies. You jerk.
Yeah.
What do we think will be the next animated show? We've gotten that question a lot, and I'm just like, I have no idea. I doubt it's going to be clone related because I think we're wrapping that up here. I don't know.
Probably not High Republic. I don't know.
Yeah, we've got Young Jedi Adventures.
I don't know if they're doing a second season of that. I would love it if they did. I mean, it definitely seemed like the end of season 1 seemed like it was setting things up for more. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But I have no idea. I like probably something unexpected.
That's perfect.
Yeah. We do have a lot of time in the New Republic to explore, so maybe something there.
Yeah, I think I would prefer we go outside of the Reign of the Empire era. There's been a lot between episodes 3 and all the way to 6. We have a lot of stuff going on, so seeing something new would be cool.
This made me laugh, calling it cadnapping. That's great.
Well, I think I'm out of stuff that I wanted to talk about. Kelly, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up about either of these episodes?
No, I don't think so. No, I thought they were great. They were beautiful. I didn't cry. I was waiting for something like really emotional to happen because everybody was warning on social media, like be ready for emotions. And I definitely got very sad during the identity crisis episode, but I was like, okay, I'm okay for now.
After the past 2 episodes, which were a little more chill, a little more lighthearted, these just came in swinging hard with, oh, look at all these kids in peril, and now Pabu is invaded, and it just felt a little like Whiplash, and to have 2 of them was a lot.
Yeah.
I keep thinking, because I see a lot of people saying they think someone has to die. Someone has to, like, one of the main characters has to make like a big sacrifice. And a lot of people thought early on that it might be Crosshair. But I feel like after Tech dying last season, I don't know that they can get away with killing any other like big main characters. It would be too sad. And there's not another season of this show for us to all mourn together.
No one needs to die. I could unfortunately see Hauser being on the chopping block because he's like enough of a fan
Aw.
favorite.
No,
I know
not the
I
hair.
would hate that. I would hate it. But he's enough of a fan favorite that I feel like it could happen. It would have weight, but none of them have to die. They're all
No.
going to be fine.
Tech's fine.
Tech's fine. Everyone will be fine. Wrecker's fine. He's just
He's
going to
fine.
have a little bump on his head.
Again.
Yeah, he
Again.
remember when every episode he used to hit his head?
Mm.
Good days.
He's got a big head. He can take it.
He was fine. Once they got the chip out, it was fine.
Oh, yeah. Every time he hit his head, his chip would go off.
Yeah.
God, that was so good.
I wonder if they talk and laugh about that now. We're like, oh, yeah, remember when that would happen and it'd be really scary?
This is, yeah, I want to rewatch season 1 and 2.
Mhm.
When it's over, might just do it all over again.
Yeah. I'm
Claire's
not I'm not ready for this show to be done yet. I'm sad that it's ending, but I think they're doing a really good job at like wrapping it up.
It definitely feels like we're going into the end game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, we will let you go, but I want to remind everyone that Star Wars Dad Jokes is out, so everyone can go pick that up. But can you let everyone else know where to follow you online and what else you got going on?
Yeah, I'm still on Twitter at Kelly_Knox. You can find me there. Once in a while, I do still tell jokes, but all the good ones are in the book, so buy that. And then April 23rd is the Return of the Jedi Visual Archive. Also, I have the Marvel Studios Character Encyclopedia the same day. Just kind of happened that way. That was kind of fun. And then October, November, I think, is the Star Wars Encyclopedia Updated Edition. So yeah, lots of stuff coming out. Follow me on Twitter. That's me.
Awesome.
There are links to your Twitter and your website and your link tree down in the description already. So everyone go check out everything Kelly does. And I'm really excited for the encyclopedia. That was like the old one from the 90s is what got me obsessed with Star Wars in the first place. So
Mhm.
I'm excited to see another version.
And if you want to make your own Lula, she's on StarWars.com. If you want to go look there. I don't know if I'll make the little baby, but I kind of really want to.
Is that out of everything in these 2 episodes, is that what you would choose to craft if you could?
That's a funny question. I keep looking at Omega's necklace and trying to figure out what that is because I love that kind of stuff when they add those little details.
Looks kind of like climbing rope.
Yeah.
It looks like rope and maybe not shells, but there's some beads or something on there too. So
It's Pabu has like such a nautical theme to it. It does kind of look like rope and beads and
yeah, I notice it every episode, and I always think I would like to make that too.
yeah.
I was real quick going to bring that up. Just like,
Yeah,
I was noticing it. It was like, that's just a fun, cool necklace.
Mhm.
and she's had it on like multiple episodes because I know I noticed it before this one.
Cute.
Well, cool. Thanks again for joining us to talk about these
Yeah.
episodes, Kelly.
Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah, anytime. Well, see ya.
Bye.
We're going to stick around and answer your chat questions in chat. So our first one here is from Swole Yoda. Thank you so much for the super chat. I want to see a Crosshair and Hunter fight in the beginning of the next episode. Then they cry in each other's arms after.
Why would they fight?
Probably because Crosshair let her go. Quote unquote, like, so maybe Hunter will be mad that he let that happen.
Yeah, maybe it'll just be like, I'm so angry, I gotta punch something, and then the punches turn into sobs, and then they just hold each other and have a little cry.
Maybe.
Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna go, actually.
Yeah, I can't imagine they're going to be happy about it.
No.
I don't know.
I think they're all probably gonna be in like, it's go time mode. Like, we gotta figure this out and fast. Maybe there's no time for tears or fights.
Yeah, maybe they're just gonna immediately steal a ship and get going.
Yeah. Power Rangers Explain, thanks for the super chat. Happy belated Easter and baseball season, everyone. You know what we should do? We should go to a baseball game at the new stadium. It's not, we shouldn't call it new anymore, but we've only been there for a concert and no actual ball games.
Yeah, we've never seen a sport there. We've just seen Lady Gaga.
Which is a sport for me.
Cassie, thank you for the next one. What if they're planning on making the kids Inquisitors when they grow up? Why else keep them alive if they're not useful for Project Necromancer? Emery said, or no, Nalase said the Empire wants to keep them to control them. So I do think there was another project from the Vader comics and from Star Wars Rebel, Project Harvester, which was about collecting young Force sensitives basically for like a future army for Palpatine. So yeah, I feel like once they're done with their experiments, they could funnel them into Project Harvester.
Yeah, I mean, the way Hemlock spoke about the kids, and he probably thinks that they're pretty malleable, and if they're there since childhood, they could manipulate them into doing stuff. Like, Inquisitors aren't a thing yet, right?
They probably are. I mean, we haven't seen them like out and about yet, but the program is probably up and running. It seemed like the Grand Inquisitor was ready to go as soon as the Empire was ready.
Maybe the Grand Inquisitor is like, I'm not a babysitter. Like, bring him to me when they're older.
But there is a Vader comic where they actually wind up kidnapping the son of Eth Koth. So
what?
Yeah.
How dare?
Yeah, and it's not even Cad Bane.
Does he beat him up? The son?
No, he's a little baby.
Oh.
Like he's literally a newborn.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of child endangerment in Star Wars.
I don't like that. But yeah, Cassia, I think the Empire is always going to try to make use of Force sensitives if they can. So might not know what they're up to or what they have planned for them yet. Verissa Lopez, thanks for the next one. Fee was just short of catching the signal. Wrecker just short of catching the signal. Crosshair just short. Are we setting up being just short of a happy ending? Please, no. I think that's just what they're doing to kind of build tension. And we need this really low point to get the cavalry high point.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot went right for the Empire at this point, where it just, a bunch of what ifs, like, oh, why couldn't Fee have heard the alarm? Why couldn't Wrecker have been inside just a second earlier? Why couldn't Crosshair make that shot? I think it's just all setting us up for like the heartbreak of this episode. But Star Wars tends to be hopeful. That doesn't mean that everything's going to be perfect and happy. We're still in the reign of the Empire era. And right at the start of it. So it's not going to be like, hey, we saved the galaxy happy, but hopefully for them as a family, it'll be happy.
Yeah.
And not just short.
This is the end of this whole series. We can't just leave everything on a depressing note.
Yeah, they already gave us the Empire Strikes Back, where Tech died and Omega was captured. Excuse me. And sorry, that just like snuck out of me.
Oh no.
So they already gave us that. So now we need our Return of the Jedi, where everything is pretty much happy.
Mm-hmm.
Callum Reed, thanks for another super chat. Or discard them too, like Omega samples. Hopping back to Emery's statement to Nalase, what were you going to do with the kids? Discard them too. I think that she meant something more than just because discarding Omega's samples, that was an act of protection.
Mm-hmm.
Emery, the way she delivered that line did not sound like she was happy about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that was a good moment. That reminded me of Crosshair looking up Crosshair and Omega being like, "Is that Hunter?" And then Crosshair's like, "Uh-huh."
Yeah, that's it. That was great.
That was great.
Watching a LAAT wildly fly out of control.
Crosshair, you can just hear it in his voice, like, "Yep," and I'm sure he has a plan.
He's doing great. That was even when you kind of expect it, I was still surprised at CX2 just blasting the pilot.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Which, if anything, that's more proof of like a Crosshair clone than a tech clone. But
yeah, I mean, he's been showing signs of taking the best of all of the Bad Batch and being able to do everything.
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you for the next super chat. How old is Boba at this point? I'm thinking young. Yeah, I think he's still like a preteen, maybe.
I think he's in his teens. He was 10.
Would he be the same age? Maybe a little older than Omega?
We don't know exactly when they made Omega. Well, maybe we do. Maybe they made Omega at the same time, but I think
because she's been around for. She doesn't have the accelerated aging,
right? But we don't know that she was created at the same time as Boba. She could have been created after, but
that's true.
They're probably close to the same age. Boba would be at least 13, but probably closer to 14 or 15. It depends on how many years this series has taken place over.
Mm-hmm.
Dave McHugh, thanks so much for another super chat. Do you guys think Hunter will accuse Crosshair of betrayal, thinking that Crosshair turned Omega over to the Empire? Oh, no, I hope not. Like, if he were going to do that, then he would have left.
I think we've moved past Hunter's paranoia about this kind of thing. At least I hope so. I don't think Hunter is going to accuse Crosshair of anything at this point.
Yeah. I don't want that to happen. I feel like early on in this season we got through all of that. You know, we had the episode of just Crosshair and Omega, and the episode of Crosshair and Hunter, and then the episode of Crosshair and Hauser. So I feel like he's worked through all that stuff, and I don't think Hunter's gonna be on him. He might be upset, but I don't think he's gonna be like, you did this on purpose.
Crosshair's done a lot this season to prove to Hunter and everybody else that he's changed, he's different, he's loyal to them. So I think that would, someone said it in chat, it would be a regression for Hunter. Amaranth said it. I think that's true. I don't think we're going to go there.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no time. I keep saying that.
Yeah. Well, Hunter has regressed before when he tried to keep Omega from going on a mission earlier this season. Like, that was a regression.
But she had just gotten back.
Yeah, and she immediately was like, nah, don't start this again. And he was like, you're right. So maybe we'll see something like that where he's like, how could you give her over to the Empire? And Crosshair would be like, you know I didn't. And he'd be like, I'm sorry. So maybe it'll be like a very quick interaction.
Yeah.
Lord Hosk, thank you for the super chat. She has a second tracker. The first one was a decoy.
She swallowed this one. She's like, you gotta wait for it to come out.
Her pockets are full of trackers.
Ugh.
Honestly, like swallowing a tracker would have been smart. Be like,
They need to make those fake teeth with trackers instead of poison or electricity, whatever was in those.
although that tracker looked like a choking hazard for sure. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Darth Nicholas, thanks for being a big wait, did we officially change the name of the membership?
Oh, actually, I did. I think I did.
You did?
Yeah, I think I did that.
What did we settle on?
Isn't it the 603rd?
The 603rd. I like that. Thanks for being a member of the 603rd. I love how the Clone X troopers seem to combine the qualities of both the Phase Zero Dark Troopers and covert ops clone troopers from Legends. Yeah, we touched on that a little bit earlier. They do seem like they're kind of like the best of everyone.
Sorry, I was confirming that our membership is now called the 603rd. So let me read this again. I love the Clone X troopers seem to combine the qualities both of the Phase Zero Dark Troopers and Covert Ops clone troopers from Legends. Yeah, I definitely think they're supposed to be the canon version of the Phase Zero Dark Trooper, which I think might wind up just being the Phase 1, because they initially said in The Mandalorian, when they were like, these are battle droid dark troopers, and Pershing said a line something like the human inside was the final weakness to be removed. So I think up until then, dark troopers were people in armor. So from building backwards from that, I think that these probably are dark troopers. Ice, thank you for the next super chat. 2 great episodes this week. The new reveals were unexpected and very interesting. I was tense the whole way through, especially in episode 11. I definitely tense. I thought maybe episode 10 was a little more tense for me, just with all the kids in danger.
That one definitely made you feel more unsettled. Well, I don't know. The destruction of the Havoc Marauder, all the danger on Pabu, that was all scary too, but just the creep factor of the Empire and what it's doing with these kids and the fact that they're taking babies, it's all just really depressing, because we know that that continues to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Ice also says, initially I had a reserved reaction to episode 10, but my review actually helped me through those thoughts. I still really liked it, but I wasn't sure what to make of it and had to process it a bit. I felt we were more reiterating something we already knew about Emery, that she had a softer side when she feels a connection with the child, rather than fully establishing something new about her. But the hints about her backstory and seeing her push back a bit against Hemlock, which was great, so I understood it. It just didn't fully land for me at first. So thanks for the help, Alex. You're welcome. I have a lot of thoughts about Emery. Like, I don't know if it's worth a full video or not, but
it might be. I mean, we talked a little bit about this when we were recording our commentary, but I don't know that they're going to go into any of Emery's backstory. I think they've touched on enough to tell us who she is and what she's been through and why she may be the perfect person to help Omega escape. But I hope that she gets like a nice heroic moment. I'm sure she will before the series is over. And I don't know that she's experienced any sort of life outside of what the Empire has like contained her to. So imagine that being your whole life and then going out into the world to have all these new experiences. So we mentioned this a couple episodes ago, and I was like, what if Emery is the new tech? Like, what if she joins the gang and becomes, part of the family? I don't know if I still think that that's a possibility, but I just want to know that she gets out of there and can experience the world.
I
worlds.
definitely think that she will fall under the umbrella of we have to save all the clones, especially if she comes around and helps them, which hopefully or helps Omega or helps the kids or something. As long as she does something right, I think there's a chance for that. And yeah, I don't really get the sense that she has known anything outside of being a scientist with Hemlock. So it's kind of like what Hemlock said is, hey, kids are easy to capture. They don't know what's going on. They're easy to control. And I really like that moment where she takes the pad and she looks at Omega, but it's like, that's just you. That's a young you with blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just looking at a picture of herself. So I saw a lot in Emery that I liked. And as far as reiterating goes, I think that a lot of the stuff that they said was stuff that maybe we could already figure out or infer, but most people watching the show don't think about it nearly as hard as we do. So
Sure.
they needed a moment to just be like, here's why we need Omega. Here's what's up with Emery.
Mm-hmm. Dark Nicholas, thanks for the next one. I noticed all the Force-sensitive subjects present in episode 10 were aliens. Could this be an example of the Empire's anti-alien policy? Could be. I don't know
I think
if
it's
that
more
is just across the board, but I think it could also be everyone's always clamoring for more aliens in Star Wars, and here we got some.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that if they came across a human with a high M count, they certainly would have taken them too. So
how much
I don't-
fun is it to show cute little versions of adult aliens in Star Wars? We discussed that at length already.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if we've seen a male Miri Allen on screen yet or not. I know that they've been in like books and stuff, but that might be our first on-screen Mary Allen. Someone will correct me in chat, I'm sure, if I'm wrong. But that's kind of a rarity.
Yeah.
John Barry, thanks for the next one. When Hemlock contacted CX2, I thought he was ordering a hit on Tarkin rather than just getting a progress report. I mean, that's a good way.
Getting on my nerves.
That's a good way to get yourself killed, Hemlock. But hey, he's probably going to die in this series. My fingers are crossed that the Zillow Beast eats him, but we'll see.
Wouldn't that be fun to see?
Yeah, that'd be great.
It would be such a like Buffy season 3 moment
for the mayor.
Okay, that's become my
just win you over.
Yeah, that has to happen now. Someone on that writing team knows about Buffy, and they're like, "Remember when the mayor turned into a giant snake and ate the principal?" Yeah. Another one here from Dark Nicholas. Is it just me, or do many TK troopers share the same voice? Considering that not all clone troopers, in Legends at least, were Fett clones, what are the chances some TK troopers could be clones? I think they just don't want to hire too many different voice actors to do little voices here and there for the TK troopers.
Yeah, I mean, like David Collins, who is part of the sound team, who does the Bad Batch, does a lot of Stormtrooper voices. It's the same thing in like
Matt Lanter's and
he was Ollie. Who I got to the end of the episode and I looked at the credits and I was like, "Who the heck is Ollie?" And then we rewatched it and Fee calls that droid Ollie. I was like, "Yeah, there we go."
Also, this is a good point. The voice modulators and the helmets kind of make everyone sound similar.
It's the same thing as like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or Survivor, where I keep apologizing to David W. Collins because I always feel bad when I kill him in that game.
Because
But
he's always saying something funny.
Yeah. But he's not a clone. It's just the same voice.
Yeah.
Bradley Conboy, thanks for the next one. Cad Bane stealing the Force-sensitive children in episode 10 was a throwback nostalgia for me when he did it in season 2 of the Clone Wars for the Emperor. Yep, he did it in the Clone Wars. Now he's done it in the Bad Batch. And then the Inquisitors do it in Star Wars Rebels. I'm glad that who coined David Moody, I think, coined the phrase cadnapping. A+. I love that.
I wonder if it's like if it's weird to think of him like specializing in something like that because that's gross. But because he's got Toto and Toto was like, I'm not a nanny droid. What if he basically is a nanny droid? And Cad Bane's like, shut up, you are.
You are
That's
now.
why I keep getting all these kids. I have help.
It's funny that he's supposed to be like the most badass bounty hunter in the galaxy, and you're just stealing helpless children. Like, come on, dude. Pick a challenge.
Yeah, Finnick she needed help, but once she got help, she went after that really hard hit.
She found a way.
Bugman.
Bugman.
I forget his
Siler
name.
Zaris.
Yeah.
The Slayer of Ordo Eris.
What a cool name for such a small side character.
I know. Ice, thank you for the next super chat. I was confused that they're using Force-sensitive kids as test subjects. Is it like a precursor to trying to clone the Emperor, seeing if M-count replication can be done before moving to the end game? And if the kids are the specimens, then what's in those tanks in episode 3? The reveals were not what I expected, which is good and interesting. I just had to process them and work my head around them. I agree. When he took Emery into the vault, I was like, oh, we're going back to that room with all the tanks. And then they did not. But I think the kids, they're probably using their blood to mix with Omega or whatever to see what happens because they don't have an endless supply of Palpatine's blood. Mm-hmm. So all they're trying to do first, like this is round 1 of, okay, we're going to see if we can replicate metachlorian count through cloning. And then once we do that reliably, we'll call the Emperor down and we'll try it with him.
Yeah.
They've probably tried it already. Whatever is in those tanks that we haven't seen, I really hope we get to see it.
Well, I wonder if because they had Nala Se there for a time before she was caught for what she was doing and imprisoned, I wonder if while they had Nala Se there, they successfully cloned the Emperor, and those are just bodies waiting to be used. He's got multiple body copies in there waiting to be infused with midichlorian blood.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. They're just empty. No blood in them.
Ew.
I mean, that's what they are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're trying to do, right? Is figure out how to make force sensitive clones of Palpatine specifically.
Yeah, the goal is to have a clone that is a strong enough vessel, quote unquote, for Palpatine's spirit to move into them and hold him, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I think Palpatine's a busy guy, so he probably went there and was like, what do you need from me to make my clones? Here you go. I'll come back and check on progress. Yeah, I'll come back and check on the progress, but it would make sense that they would get everything from Palpatine that they needed in one go. So yeah, I think they just got some body copies of him that they're waiting for the right blood to infuse him with. It's all very gross. There's a reason why Star Wars does not go into this stuff in detail, because if you think about it too hard, it's gross. So
Darth Nicholas, thank you for another question. Are you open to the possibility of there being other biologically female Fett clones besides Omega and Emery? If so, what purposes would they serve? Just running around the galaxy kicking ass like Omega?
I mean, it is really sad to think that because they were creating soldiers, if any of them came out women, that they would think that that's a defect and that they're unusable. And they would go to creepy people like Hemlock to be their assistant. Or worse, they would just be terminated. That's really sad to think about. But yeah, they have lots of purposes to serve. It's just that the Empire and the Kaminoans probably didn't think so.
Right. The Kaminoans were like, hey, this isn't what we were trying to make, so it's a failure. And since we made them, we can do whatever we want with them.
Yeah.
I'm open to finding out that there are more, but I doubt it. Emery, the way Emery talked to Nalase gives me the idea that like she was a quote unquote mistake on the part of the Kaminoans, and Hemlock quote unquote saved her. Oh man, air quotes are doing a lot of heavy lifting today.
Yeah. Also, Kelly in chat, like a water balloon. Oh, it's so. If I think about it
just
too
waiting
long,
to be filled.
They're real small. Anyways. Clone Force 99, thank you for the next super chat. Asajj Ventress, Quinlan Voss will help Bad Batch and clones save Force children at the final episode, and the Inquisitors will show up to fight Asajj and Voss. That would be probably not fitting for the end of this show. I don't think they're going to end a show about the Bad Batch with Asajj and Voss fighting Inquisitors.
I think that because it's about the Bad Batch, because it's about clones, I do think that it's going to be about them and how they save things. I don't think it would feel narratively good for me if a bunch of Force users swooped in to save the day.
Yeah, we don't need that. Like, the Bad Batch has proven to the audience that they can take care of themselves, and we don't need Jedi to come save the day.
Like, this is part of my headcanon of where the series is going, but I love the idea that Palpatine created these clones so that they would wipe out the Jedi, and he manipulates all of these millions of people to help him rise to power. And then on the end of their story, at their conclusion, they also wind up being the ones that stop him from fully achieving immortality. That they ruin Project Necromancer, probably without even knowing that's what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, I want that to be their victory. And as much as I want to see Quinlan Voss, I don't want him to kick the door in and steal their thunder.
Yeah. We always talk about the cog in the machine that is the Empire, but the opposite of that, the Bad Batch, the surviving clones, Omega, they are all cogs in the anti-machine. The force against the rage against the machine.
Nice. On the flip side, Clone Force 99, Vader showing up at the end to kill Hemlock, I could kind of see that.
Now hold on now.
Now wait a second.
This would be okay. I'm fine with that. Because we did talk about if Vader was going to show up, and I said probably not, but this would make sense because anytime they use Vader, it needs to be brutal, right? So if he just showed up to kill Hemlock,
yeah, and like he's a villain deserving of a strong death, and Zillo Beast, I'm all for that, but Vader doing it would also be, especially because there's this whole element of Hemlock trying to control the Force, and he doesn't understand it and he can't do it. And in walks a Sith Lord who knows and understands the Force. Like there's something poetic in that.
Hemlock would be like, "Why aren't we using his blood? He's your friend.
Who are you?" Yeah, he probably
He's
doesn't
your
even know
best
who
friend.
Vader is.
He's been right there this whole time."
I like the idea of calling Vader Palpatine's best friend, which I mean, kind of. It's like him or Masamita.
It's his only friend. Well,
Or
no, he's
Tashu.
got his advisors with the funny hats.
Yeah.
Those are his friends.
My best friend, Ars Dangor.
My only friends. Darth Nicholas, thank you for the next couple super chats. I'm sure this has been asked dozens of times, but what are your thoughts on the identity of CX2? A familiar clone, i.e. Cody, or someone new? Apparently, there was a fan theory back in Legends days that Cody became a Phase Zero Dark Trooper, considering his story after The Force Unleashed 2 was never continued. We did kind of talk about this, and for me, I think he's just another clone. He's either that or maybe Tech, but I think that ship has sailed.
I'm going with it's just a random reg. It's just a random clone. I'm open to the idea of it being anyone else, but I would rather, like, I'm just going to stay in denial until it's revealed, and then I can be like, holy crap, and it'll be fun that way. But right now, even seeing everything, I do just lean towards regular new clone. I do think it's a Phase Zero Dark Trooper. I'm on board with that theory. But
That
for
makes
Cody,
sense.
yeah, for Cody, I still just don't see Rampart lying to Crosshair and being like, your friend Cody deserted. I feel like he would have said, your friend Cody tried to escape, and so we did something terrible to him.
Yeah, they're not going to take a fan favorite clone and turn him into a Phase Zero Dark Trooper at the end of a series. Like, we don't have time for that to happen and for us to see them save him and rehabilitate him. So I don't.
Yeah, it's more the longer we wait, the less likely I think it is that if they pop his helmet open and they're like, oh my God, it was Cody all along. Anyway, blast. Like, I would hate that. So
yeah,
the longer it goes without a reveal, I'm like, probably just a reg.
Probably just a reg.
Matthew Fab, thank you for the super chat. Batcher found Ventress's ship in the cave. I think Batcher found the Clone X's ship in the cave. If so, did Hunter sneak onto the ship or put a tracker? That's interesting because they were on the beach.
Hunter didn't get out of the water in time to do that, I don't think.
Looking.
I thought he had already used his little clicker to call the ship over by the time.
Looking.
Oh gosh, we need to prove it.
I want to know. It's a good theory.
They would have showed him doing that. I don't think that would have been.
No, that'd be a fun surprise.
An off camera. You think so?
He
looked pretty distraught.
He gets out of the water before the ship takes off. And I don't think we see Hunter after that. The ship is small, so I don't think he would have snuck onto it. But tracker, maybe.
Maybe. Did he have one on him? I thought Crosshair had all of them.
I don't know.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
You're just so anti-hope.
I just feel like they would show something like that if he was able to pull that off.
It's interesting geography that I hadn't thought about. Hunter is on the beach with Batcher before the ship takes off, but we don't know if he was near a cave or what.
He was consoling Batcher that whole time.
Yeah. I'm still of the opinion that Batcher probably ate like 7 TK troopers.
Oh.
Probably has a tummy ache.
Ice, thanks for the next super chat. It made me wonder if we had to reevaluate our theories on Necromancer, but now I'm thinking they cloned Palpatine ahead of time and put the clones on ice, no pun intended, while they figure it out.
Yep.
Pretty much.
That's what you just said.
Yeah, I think Palpatine's not going to want to keep coming to the doctor and getting blood work done. You know, he's got stuff to do. Evil stuff.
Darth Nicholas, thank you for another one. I know this is random, but it was pretty cool hearing Scorch's name mentioned for the first time. That's not random at all coming from you. I'm surprised you didn't say it earlier. And not just seeing it listed on a character poster or in the credits. I knew you'd be excited about that, Nicholas.
I was making jokes earlier today because I was joking about how I've been wondering what the big deal is about Scorch this whole time and how I've been sort of anti-Scorch, but now I have a reason to be anti-Scorch because like he was a turd to those kids. So
He was.
It's
I like
sucks,
that
but
they show Scorch doing something terrible and then they're like, his name is Scorch. But maybe there's still hope. Maybe there's still hope that they can save all the commandos from whatever intense version of the inhibitor chip they have.
yeah, I don't know if it's the chip still or if they're lost causes, but if he can be saved, I hope we see it.
Ice, thank you for another one. I hope that Aqualish chokes on those credits from Bane. The kidnapping was so gut-wrenching. I hope that isn't all we'll see of Bane this season, though. Yeah, that Aqualish character, quite literally a butt face. He deserves something terrible in his future.
I hope he spends all those credits on a Star Wars Tesla and it crashes immediately and burns.
He's gonna buy a stupid Cybertruck.
Yeah.
He seems like the type.
Yep. Clones and battle droids. Thank you for the next one. Anyone think the shadow clone might be Dogma? Who is this now? No, I remember that name.
But that's the real answer, is that no. I think that people who are casual fans of the Clone Wars would not. They'd hear the name Dogma or they would see the face of Dogma and they wouldn't recognize it. So I don't think that that's a viable option.
It's well, if it's either a reg or someone who's already been introduced in this show.
Also, Dogma, I mean, he had kind of a turn at the end of his arc on Umbara where he wasn't so dogmatic anymore. So that would be, I mean, this show has done a bunch of heartbreaking things, but that would be really sad if they took him. I guess he was in jail already.
I'm pretty sure I missed a Dragon Con trivia question about Dogma.
Did you?
That sounds like me. I don't know anything about the clones other than the Bad Batch.
I'm trying to remember what it could be. But...
I just remember Dogma being the answer. Bradley Convoy, thanks for another super chat. Maybe Saw Gerrera will come back in the finale and ruin the Batch's plan like last season. Absolutely not. No. He's not allowed to do that.
No more of you, sir. You're also on my oh no list. I've never disliked Saw more than after the season 2 finale.
You know he left there with his tail between his legs. He knew what he did.
I don't know. He didn't seem all that upset about it.
Someone wrote him an angry letter.
Yeah. A bunch of fans. A bunch of tech fans. Fee did.
Yeah.
Thank you for another super chat, Ice. It was so interesting seeing that Tarkin has no idea about what's really going on at Tantus and seeing him not get his way with Hemlock. We're so used to seeing him have the Emperor's favor, being in that inner circle, but there are some things that even he's not privy to. It just displays how dispensable Imperials are in the grand scheme. Even Tarkin is not above that. It proves Tech's point. Yeah, I feel like when Palpatine in episode 3 told Hemlock, like, keep this on the down low, there are a lot of people who wouldn't like what I'm doing. Tarkin's probably one of them because, Tarkin has that like social ladder climber energy
Yeah.
of like, I'm going to meet people, I'm going to steal their ideas, I'm going to climb the ladder. I'm sure eventually he wouldn't have minded being emperor. And if he found out that Palpatine had plans to gain immortality, he'd probably be like, I don't like that at all.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, he would probably figure out a way to stop that from happening. Interesting. Miranda here. Thank you for our last super chat here. I was just thinking Palps might not have killed all the Jedi if he had known he wasn't going to be able to possess Anakin's body. Vader's failure threw him off.
I
Is
don't
that
know
his
that he was
plan?
planning on possessing Anakin, but I do think that it's short-sighted of the Emperor and the Empire to be like, kill the Kaminoans, kill the Jedi. They're threats to my power. Oh no, I could have used them.
Oh, no. Yeah.
We're going to start wrapping up here, but Darth Nicholas, thank you for one more. Unlike the game, Scorch develops a more bitter and resentful personality in the Republic Commando book, so his personality in the Bad Batch is quite fitting in that regard. Maybe that's why they chose specifically him to keep bringing up.
I guess. Didn't David W. Collins mention that he was like one of his favorites? So maybe they used him because of that.
Maybe it's just his choice.
Yeah.
And David did work on that game back in 2005.
Yeah. I like that theory. Maybe we could ask him about it one day.
Yeah.
And Ice, thank you for another super chat. Seeing the Marauder destroyed broke me. I knew it was coming from clips, but man, I still wasn't ready for it. Episode 11 was essentially the Bad Batch's version of the tragedy from Mando season 2. Did we see clips of it getting destroyed?
I didn't, but maybe something came out today. Or maybe it was just like super intense study of the trailers.
Yeah, I don't think they showed that in any of the clips, but maybe just a random explosion here and there. You're like, oh no.
Ice also says, I absolutely believe that Crosshair was going to make that shot with the tracking device, but those troopers firing on him broke his focus and he wasn't able to line up the shot again in time. That's what Molly said earlier too.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it could have happened if people weren't shooting at him actively. But we are going to wrap up for the night and go get some dinner. This was our longest stream for the Bad Batch so far.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're going to do a Lego stream tomorrow or not. I hadn't thought about it, and I need to make a thumbnail or get Brian to if we're going to, and I have to see what sets we have. So maybe we'll stream tomorrow. Maybe we won't. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll let you know.
Check Twitter on that, because we might be taking a hiatus on Lego streams, but maybe not. We got to figure all of that stuff out.
I got to make an inventory.
Yeah. Figure out what sets to do next. But this was fun. These were 2 fantastic episodes. I loved getting to pick them apart. Our drawings, all of us drew
the baby.
So I'm definitely going to clip that out and post it. It's going to be fun.
Thank you again, Kelly.
Make
I was
a
actually
spreadsheet of our Lego sets.
Kelly, I was just looking at my spreadsheet to know who's streaming with us next week, and our plan is for the HoloNet Marauders to join us for next week's stream. Spreadsheet. Thanks, spreadsheet.
This stream is sponsored by Spreadsheets.
But thank you all for watching. Kelly, thank you again for joining us. Everyone, one more reminder to go grab Star Wars Dad Jokes available
go get
right
Kelly's
now.
Dad Jokes books. She graced us with a free joke every day for so long. It's the least you could do to support her love for comedy and how generous she was with all of us.
Yes. But thanks everyone again. We're gonna go grab some dinner. So have a great night, and may the force be with you.